you'd say, this is who I got married to. I don't know who this guy is, whatever the thing is. But we're actually not sitting and asking the questions that you later asked. It's like, what's going on
What
here?
actually happened?
What happened, you know?
It's almost like there's a subconscious agreement you make with yourself that my 100% is actually going to be 80%.
Sure.
Or 75%.
Sure.
So I'm going to fight, but not that hard. Hence, it can be easy to, in a dispute, I'm already subconsciously preparing for when I have to move out. I'm not thinking, how are we going to resolve this to get to the next place?
Walk them in the shoes of their wives. Because maybe that's what he needs to see.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to That Husband podcast with me, Blaque Newborn. Here we are husbands who aren't where we want to be, but certainly are not where we used to be. We are imperfect, always failing forward, trying to know better so that we can do better.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to That Husband podcast with me, Blaque Newborn. This is where husbands try to know better so that we can do better. Before we get into this episode, we want to thank everybody who's been supporting us. If you're new, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you're updated on every single episode we drop every Wednesday at 11:30. Two ways you can support us. You can buy us coffee. There's a link in our comment section. Click on that, buy us as many coffees as your heart desires so that we are energized to keep on making more of this content. We want to buy coffee for our guests, yeah? But we want to give them nice coffee, okay? So please support us by buying us coffee. Second way, you can book me as an MC for your next event, whatever the event is. You can send us an email at booking@blacknewborn.com. That's booking@blacknewborn.com. And we have amazing news of how we can support you. End of every month in the year of 2025, we are going to have a live event where we're going to meet together. It's limited to only 200 people. So please book your spot. It's free, completely free. Come through in one room. We're going to be sitting together and we're going to have a guest. We'll have performers. We'll have a DJ. You'll have me and you can meet other people from this community. It's called Beans and Bonds, where cups form connections. Beans, coffee beans, bonds, connections, right? So that's what we're going to be doing. We'll give you more details. Stay tuned to this episode. But throughout the month of Feb, we're going to be announcing that the first one is coming on the 1st of March. 1st of March, because Feb just is wonky. It ends on a very weird weekend. So 1st of March is going to be our first one, and then we'll have another one at the end of March, and so on and so forth till the end of the year. All right, so let's connect. We want to connect with you, so please do take note of that. Beans and Bonds coming through. The guest that's sitting across the table from me today is no husband, because I am not married to a husband, but a pretty sexy, hot, intelligent, talented, dark-skinned, chocolate. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my wife, Lily Million Newborn. Hey!
I should take
Hello,
you everywhere,
Lily.
but I do take you everywhere. That's fun.
Yeah, in
was
other
nice.
episodes, you came in as an intruder.
Wow.
Now you're an official guest.
I'm actually a bit scared
Come on now.
because this table, there's something about this table. It feels very ceremonious.
It is.
And
It's
the
been
first
worked.
part, I'm such a fan.
Nice. Guys, this is the month of love.
Yes.
And so we are deciding to focus Valentine's on the husbands.
Okay.
So Valentine's is traditionally known by its color, red. And so we are taking yellow as the new red.
Wenana.
Come on now. So please hashtag yellow as the new red. We want to celebrate husbands this Valentine's. In fact,
Valentine's.
all other Valentines, we need to celebrate, at least on this podcast, we are celebrating husbands. So every year, yellow will be the new red, right? And we have Lily
Do you want me to buy you flowers?
here.
No, serious.
No, buy me a floral shirt.
Okay. Because I saw it in Instagram or something where someone was like, his girlfriend or his significant other bought him flowers and he just like cried.
What am I going to do with flowers?
No, but
besides
like he
kill
was,
them?
I think, I don't know. And I just didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I only knew I love flowers like recently. So I was like, oh, I just didn't know.
I have sneakers that have flowers.
Okay.
You can buy me
I
a
understand. I see what you're
floral
doing.
shirt.
I see what you're doing there. All right.
A
Cool.
rocket, you know me.
Mm-hmm.
So How are you feeling in this place?
Yeah. Am I welcome in this place?
You are.
I am very nervous,
Okay.
but excited. Like, this is, it's one thing to be on the other side. Hey, this is like, whoa. And I know, like, we did that other episode, but this feels like now I'm on That Husband podcast.
Okay.
Now.
That's good, Lily.
So, but it's cool.
Yeah, I don't need to tell you what we're doing with this book.
No, you must tell me. I want the whole package.
Okay, so we are compiling these resources for husbands who are walking alone, young men who are discouraged about marriage, who don't have any role models, who are disenchanted. They need their imaginations to be reawakened. But the institution of marriage. And so season 1 put names of husbands who are no heroes, who are failing forward, trying their best. Our guests would give us their names and we would put them on here. In fact, that ebook is coming out. We're going to share it with people. It's going to be amazing. But now in season 2, what we're doing is asking our guests to define what an indorder is. What is a husband, Lillian?
I don't know what's a husband. I'm not one. I just have one.
Yeah. What did you want in a husband? What did you look for? How did you grow up with husbands around you?
Sure. Okay. So, I mean, I'm sure the dictionary has its own thing, but I'm like, objectively, like, a husband is a man who is committed to loving and serving his wife and his family in every way he can, leading them, growing himself as they grow, as she grows, and committed till death, right? And is actively doing that. Now, the practical application of what that looks like is obviously, it's unfolding for me because of how I grew up. My dad passed when I was 5, and so by the time I even could understand husband and whatever, he was long gone.
Sure.
I saw very little of my parents' marriage. Only now I'm reflecting, like, the things that I saw with my, like, adult eyes. Oh, that's what that was. Oh, I think they had an argument that day. Oh, that's what, you know what I mean? I'm seeing those things, but it's so little. And so, like, obviously single mom, she's tough, she's doing her thing. And that's what I see. That's what I know. We build the furniture. We set up the TV. We screen the light bulbs. We are the ones
That's why
dealing
you
with
want
the car.
to do that in our house.
But I like building furniture. I think like, it brings me joy. It feels like an expression. Like, I was talking to Grace about building wooden furniture, and the way we were geeking out, I was like, ish. But so I think it's a combination of that's what I saw. I saw my mom deal with the plum, like all the things that, like, are very manly things to do. But I didn't know they were the man things to do. And I'm not trying to have a conversation about gender roles,
Sure.
But the things that when I grew up, girls are like, oh, my dad does the garden. My dad washes the car. I'm like, oh, is that okay? So for the longest time, I didn't know what a man was.
You washed the car.
Yeah.
And your mom never paid you.
Yo, bruh, she scammed me, that lady. Yo. I'm still healing from that thing.
Anyway,
she scammed me.
Tell us.
I'll tell you about the scam.
Yeah.
Sure. It was an operation.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so I didn't know what a man was for.
Sure.
And I'm not meaning that in a derogatory way.
Yeah, sure.
It's just like, I don't know. And so why did I want a husband? I'm not sure that I necessarily wanted a husband. I mean, maybe there's that church thing, like, I'm praying for my husband, and it's very romanticized. And I guess every woman wants to be loved and wants to be committed to, and I was no different, even though I thought I was too cool for school, but it was true. But I think really I wanted you, so I wanted what you were offering. And I think only as time has gone in our marriage, I've kind of been learning on the job what a husband is. And how to value that correctly.
Sure.
And how there are ways in which I was devaluing it myself. Like you speak about that often here.
Yeah.
And so first, thank you for your patience.
You were not committed to our marriage for 5 years.
More like 6 or 7.
6 years, Lillian.
It's not funny as.
Yeah, no,
I met a lady this weekend who said the same thing. She's the first person I've met who got what I was saying.
As well.
Yeah.
I knew that you thought we'd divorce in 5 years.
I didn't know that you knew how serious I thought that.
Yeah, but you're talking to me.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have known better.
Like,
But yeah, so it was just, I don't know, man. And I think maybe it's being a recovering pessimist, a not seeing the examples, which is a real thing. I know that people like to throw that thing around and as an excuse, but it's true. Like if I don't have anything to refer to,
yeah.
like it's very hard to formulate a picture in your head that's real. And then even if you see Hollywood, you know that that's TV and that girl doesn't even look like me. So there's a disconnect between all of those things. So it's I've been figuring it out now where I'm like, oh, Lily, I would have a chat with you when you're engaged to be like, okay, this is what it actually is. So yeah. So I say those things, sorry, my definition.
Yeah, sure.
Because that's what I've seen you strive for. And that's what I've seen the people we're around. I'm like, oh, that's what it is. And that's how I see couples who we see are 40, 50 years in.
Sure.
Like that's that I'm committed to being this thing. I'm committed to serving and loving these people in my house that are driving me nuts.
Yeah.
For the sake of, fill in the blank. So that was
that's dope. No, that's good. I mean, we went to a friend's commissioning yesterday, which was dope. And it was so cool just to see her parents, who are in their 60s, been married for over 30 years, because she was turning 30 and her parents were together before that. Because how old is her brother?
So the sisters should be like 37, 38. The brother must be 40.
Yeah, so they've been
together long, bruh.
for over 40 years.
I think it's 42, bruh.
They've been together for over 40 years.
42.
That's back. Anyway, but it was so dope to see the parents very involved in their kids' lives, involved in their grandkids' lives, and how very intimately they spoke of each of the kids.
Yes.
Obviously, it was our friend's birthday and her commissioning, and the attention was on her, but they kind of spoke about her in relation to her siblings as well, but how they know their children. And I remember now driving back from the thing yesterday and me saying to you, like, that the father, or the husband in this case, could have easily destroyed that legacy.
Absolutely.
Easily, right? Growing up from your story, not seeing husbands around. I mean, my own story, dad is around 15 years, bounces, but he was the only dude I saw who was married for that long.
And the only dude left.
Right? And then no other dudes. And then I'm like, okay, we see kind of other people's lives breaking down because there's just no clear anchor. A husband, a father anchor, and I'm like, it's crazy then to 40 years later sit aside and think, here's a man who 40 plus years ago decided he's gonna, do something different, be present, be loving, be there, and just be present in many ways. I'm like, typically at birthday parties, black birthday parties, it's the aunties that are starting songs.
Yeah.
He's there starting the songs.
He started like 5 songs.
5 songs.
And leading them.
Yeah. And it's just active and he's speaking. Beautiful. And he's not just like, like getting all of us to drown in his glory. But no, he's there serving us and loving us and how he's speaking. And how he's just, in everyone's lives and even in the actual event. So I was like, man, he could have stuffed that thing up. He could have not, like what Israel Piri says, he couldn't have had very bad zip management, right? And never kept his zip up and messed up a legacy of 3 kids and grandkids and just the amazing humans that they've become, So I'm like, man, like it's dope to see that, but it's probably doper if that was just in your life growing up.
Oh,
and you seeing that, So anyway, I was just encouraged by that and just realizing that the call to want to strive or even thrive to, strive to become better rather, is not a call that's in a vacuum. There's guys like that. Like this man we're referring to.
Also, it's possible.
It's possible.
It exists. It's not this possible. Like weird unattainable thing. These are
Yeah.
normal people,
Yeah, yeah.
normal jobs, living normal lives,
Yeah.
and going through stuff and sticking it out.
Yeah.
And there's love there. You could
Yeah.
see that, like, man, there's love here. And I remember she said something so powerful. She was like, I go out into this world and I know exactly who I am because of what you, Mama and Papa, have done for me.
Done.
And I was like,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah. Anyway, that's dope. Thanks for your definition.
You are welcome.
We appreciate you. Thank you that you have a wonderful role model of a husband in your life.
Oh, wow.
Tell your husband that we appreciate him on this podcast.
Oh, this is the part where I thank my husband for allowing me to come and tell his story.
Please. We'll give you 10 minutes. Thank your husband for how amazing he is.
I feel like I've done it already. No jokes though. Like, you are the example, bro. Like, I was looking at Zion. I'm just like, our child, our daughter, like, should she want to get married? I'm like, you're it. I won't say, oh, look at so. I need to be like, you know. And it's just like, I thank God so far that, you know, we're here.
Yeah.
It, like you said, it could be different.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just a matter of that daily decision making.
Yeah. Choosing. Yeah. Constantly.
Which
daily
is
choosing.
not. It's not cute. It's not fluffy. But the reward is so great. So. You actually are the example. So shout outs to you.
Thanks.
Black New Busy.
Thank you for being an amazing wife.
Okay. Thanks. I want to run away.
And these adjectives are, you know, with a very sober understanding that we are imperfect humans.
What? Imperfect? Me?
Yeah.
Never.
You were not committed to.
I don't know.
How could you not be committed to a marriage for 5 years? How can it's like, even when you put it that way, somebody's like, this is a joke. Anyway, we'll get to it.
Okay.
We are here to celebrate husbands.
Yes.
In the month of love.
Mm-hmm.
Yellow is the new red. And we want to shout out husbands and pick them up for showing up, being there, trying, failing forward, you know.
Trying.
Hey, husbands are trying.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of husbands who, you know, through the grapevine, they didn't come to me directly, but they've reached out to my network and they said, tell Black that we are trying.
Yeah.
You must stop saying that we are not trying. I'm like, I know we're trying. All of us are trying.
People are not trying. I don't know.
I guess that's so I'm like, it's the thing I had with Priv, where I said to Priv, listen, I'm not talking to your wife, I'm talking to you.
Yes.
About how we could step up in our role.
Got you.
And so in a world where, you know, men for at least recent history have felt, you know, undermined, have felt overlooked, have felt like their voice has been stifled. The anything that speaks to them directly, which we do, feels like, man, please give us a break because everyone else is coming on our necks. And I'm like, I am giving us a break, guys. I'm part of this thing as well called husbandhood. I'm giving us a break and I'm saying there's things that the world has done wrong towards us, but there's things that we ourselves are responsible to get right and correct those things and actually grow from certain things. You know, so anyway, but we want to celebrate husbands. We want to put the spotlight on them. Not that we don't every other month, but again, you know, Valentine's is a special time. So we're gonna talk about a couple of things.
Okay.
First of all, unproductive habits.
Sure.
That hold back marriages. And we'll talk particularly about our marriage. And I use the word unproductive purposefully because, you know, there's people, we could have bad habits.
Yeah.
And people can have bad habits. But bad habits and unproductive habits are two different things. Bad habits are, and this is clearly bad and it's going to lead you down, you know, a very dark hole. You're going to be in a ditch and possibly divorce. Unproductive habits, there's an unknowingness. You know, I'm trying, we're doing stuff, and it's probably after a certain period of time where we realize, and this thing, it's kind of moving us, but not moving us, you know, the whole way. It's not giving us quantum leaps in our marriage.
Hey,
come on now. It's not moving us forward in a way that is healthy, in a way that's sustainable, in a way that's, has a long-term perspective in mind.
So are you saying like there's an intention, but it's not doing, where are my rings? Sorry.
Yeah.
I feel naked.
It has an intention,
Yeah.
and there's a willingness. But man, you could have just sat down and be more strategic. You could have sat down and actually been more deliberate.
Got you.
Or be fiercely intentional, right? You could be intentional, but fierce intentionality is what a lion has, right? Like a lion is like, if I don't catch this thing, I'm gonna be hungry. Or a lioness rather. If I don't catch this thing, I'm gonna be hungry. So lionesses have fierce intentionality. Lions have intentionality. Lions are such drama kings. Anyway, but so that's the thing. They're not bad habits. I think bad habits, that's a whole other episode. But unproductive habits that we've practiced, that kind of held back our marriage, and probably speaks into this 5-year lack of commitment from your part.
Do you want to talk about the 5-year lack of commitment? Because you keep okay, cool. Shucks. So the question is like, what are some of them like that were for us?
Yeah, and in light of celebrating husbands, I'm probably more responsible for our unproductive habits. So taking lead would have meant I need to sit down and say, hey, let me be fiercely intentional in how we are planning to execute ABC so that we can get to whatever point, So I think when there's a persistent level of unproductive habits, husbands need to take the responsibility.
Sure.
And so in celebrating us, I think we can chat about that with hopes that we can help husbands step out of that so that they can actually be fiercely intentional about having productive habits for their marriage. Yeah.
Sure. It's like mildly tough because I think I went into interpreting unproductive as bad habits.
Sure.
But the thing of like, so I guess one that I could think of that springs to mind is how I love that when we are together alone, alone together. Yeah.
Together alone, yeah.
Anyway, the one where you're doing your thing, I'm doing my thing, but we're in the same space.
In the same room, yeah.
Right, which I remember at the beginning when we would kind of do that, it's like, it's cool. I'm on board Panda, you're researching whatever you're researching, and it's great. But then, and so like one could say that you're in the same space and you're not out there, but it still created like a weird divide. It still created like a weird distance. And then I would feel weird. I'd feel like after 2-3 days of us like doom scrolling separately but together, it would be like strange, where it's like, it would almost sometimes feel worse than when you are out the house or I'm out the house or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. And
feeling as though the intention is to not live separate lives, but that's kind of what was actually happening, in those moments. And I don't know if that's answering the question.
No, it is.
You know?
So you would say that was an unproductive habit.
Yeah.
But there was a period where you celebrated that.
I did.
Why?
I think it was because, okay, cool. I'm going to out you a bit.
That's fine.
I think it's because I often know that you are slipping when you are just watching a lot of stuff late into the night, where it's almost like you just can't come to bed. Now, I know there are women out there who can't sleep unless the husband is in the bed. I'm not one of those. Yeah. But if I can sort of energetically feel that you are slipping and I don't have evidence yet, the first evidence will be he's just watching stuff on YouTube. Or he's just not coming to bed, and then he'll doze off and wake up, and I'm like, you're like stuck to the couch, or your desk, and then it would be like so difficult because now, first of all, I'm worried about you that there's something wrong, and you're, I'm fine, as you normally do. But then, secondly, I can feel that whatever's wrong is impacting our dynamic and impacting the home dynamic, and then because of who I am, I go into panic mode. Is there something I've done? Is he? And I don't want to force you to have a conversation. So then I would celebrate that because then it felt like I wasn't on the out. It felt like, okay, cool. We
can doom scroll in the same space.
Yes.
Because I don't want to pull you from your coping mechanism.
Yeah, and I don't want you to feel like weird about it. Because there's also, because I know I also have my stuff, right? So it's that constant balance of letting you be a human and not making you feel like you have to be like on all the time.
Yeah.
You know, like nobody's like that.
Yeah.
But then to like sort of find a midpoint, it would be, okay, cool. We'll just like lay in the bed and doom scroll together. And I'm usually the one saying, look at this. And you're like, okay, you know, and then at first it's okay because then it sort of mitigates that feeling of distance,
Yes.
you know, even that physical distance. I'm inside, you're outside, which was fine for a while.
Yeah.
Until it got to a place where it's not doing what it's supposed to do anymore. It's just kind of this thing that's there. Maybe you're fine now, but this is just something that we do. And I'm like, are we these people? Like, and then when I do an audit of our day and the time, I'm like, okay, so we had a conversation in the car this morning. And like, that's it. And then you're not fighting. You're not beefing.
Yes.
But it can sort of turn into, I don't know how to not overall trust, but a lack of trust. Now I'm a bit suspicious that why did you turn so quickly? You know, what was that? You know, and then I think that's when I'm like, shucks, this thing is actually, I don't know if it's unproductive or like a bad habit. Like it's actually might be hurting us. Like it was fine for the time being, but now it's actually not.
Yeah, I would define that as unproductive because, you know, it's, and probably the celebration from your end convinced me that, okay, so this thing is working for us, you know. So it's unproductive in that in the long term, it actually did hurt us, but it didn't do what we were initially celebrating it for. So when I saw you celebrate, I'm like, yeah, we both, you know, introverts. I know that. And we both kind of, you know, exist in our own worlds. But we always, like, we fight to be together. And then there's moments, like now you just described, where when I'm not mentally coping, like I just get stuck. I get stuck and I find a vortex to go into, and then I get sucked into that vortex because I know at the end of that vortex, my thoughts will be clearer, but it's a mess at the beginning, right? And for however long that journey is going to be, because I am just like, okay, I don't want to lose my mind. I don't want to lose my life. Let's just get, and then
I feel like you are losing your mind.
Yeah, because you see me from the outside, but like my brain is like firing at 500 million light years, you know, and it's just going. And then I'm like, okay, how long is this thing gonna take? But all of life still needs to happen, and so I'm doing all of the other things that need to happen. And then I come home, I'm like, okay, place of safety. And plus, my wife celebrated this thing, so it's not gonna be a big deal.
Yes,
she'll understand.
Yep.
Let me go into the vortex. Let me, you know, fix, and then you trying to be helpful. You going, okay, let's let him fix, but we're not realizing that we're forming an unproductive habit.
Yeah.
Because that thing doesn't happen once. It's obviously, we've been married for 11 years in March, so we've had a couple of times when I go into a vortex and that habit then starts forming, right? And so for me, it's the celebration that made me think, okay,
we're fine.
It's okay, like, and it's helping me get out of my mental funk.
Yeah, it's
okay, you know. But then 11 years later, we're like,
this kind of sucks.
That wasn't actually productive at all. It, you know, it was like good momentarily, and maybe the first 2 times. Number 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 just made us get stuck, right? And again, it's my thing. One, just because I bring the funk and the vortex traveling, but secondly, I did not take lead in that regard to actually investigate this thing. Are you celebrating this thing because it's actually working for us?
Yeah.
But I copped out because the celebration gives me a way out. The celebration is indication. She's fine.
Yeah,
she's
celebrating. Yes, we're fine.
Okay. Now I can stress in peace.
She's fine. She's fine.
She's fine. I can stress in peace, right? As opposed to inviting you into my stress, which again has been a thing recently, where when we set up our monthly calendar, which you're a champion at running, and now I'm writing everything there, and you're like, why are you putting this date here?
Yeah.
firstly, my first instinct was, I thought you wanted to know everything. I'm putting everything in there, right? So that I'm not stressing alone, so that you know who I'm having coffee with, when I'm having coffee with them, who I'm meeting for a brainstorm, why I'm meeting them for this brainstorm, who I'm just going to go say hi to, who I'm sending you need to know everything, right? And then I'm realizing, oh, okay, that's probably also like a pendulum swing reaction from not wanting to be alone together. You know?
But also, sorry, I don't know if I'm going to jump the gun here.
No, that's fine.
But I'm like, I feel like I'll forget to say this. But also,
yeah.
And that's where I can be like, I'll celebrate you here. Sorry,
Yeah.
that sounded like I'm only going to celebrate you here. But there's
That's
just
fine.
a moment of like, wee, confetti. Because it's one thing to be like, I want to know what's going on in my husband's head. It's another thing to find out what's going on in your husband's head. And I was like, oh man.
And that applies to emotions as well.
Yeah. But now my thing was that I know it was uncomfortable because then also as a wife, you don't want to be the complaining one because we talk a lot. I talk a lot. And you as women, we hear ourselves complain. Like I think if you don't hear yourself complain, then maybe you're just, I don't know.
You're that much of a complainer.
Like I'll hear myself complain and I don't want to hear that. I don't want to be that, right? And so when it's finally like with the calendar thing in the beginning of this year with our check-ins, and because of the way you operate, which I guess in a weird way you're consistent. When you are in the vortex, you're all in the vortex of like confusion. But when you're in the vortex of we're going, you are in that thing as well. Now I'm like, I had to like rise to the occasion because I've been saying that you're not telling me what's happening. Because now it's like, if I can know this is what his week look like, I'm a grown up. I can be like, man, he's not irritated at me. He's probably just like tired or whatever the case may be. But now I need to rise to the occasion of when you like, okay, let's have our Friday check-in. And I'm like, now I don't want to do that. I want to doom scroll. And I want to go back to doing what we did. But now it's that, so I guess the celebrating you for actually addressing the issue in the way you always do, which is very practical. Yeah. Which is something I realize I'm always very scared of. I like to be conceptual. Yep. I love to dream about how we're going to do these things. But now to actually, because now it's like it pulls something out in me that can be very uncomfortable. So even when I heard myself when you were writing, because I felt like you're crowding my calendar. First of all, you're making it dirty, and I want to be like, we also have things, but I'm like, this is him showing up. This is him, and I'm like, I also know that step would have been, and it's someone might be thinking it's a calendar, big deal, but when you live a life together as a unit, I gotta know what's happening. You've had to know what's happening with me. And your life is significantly a bit more intense. Yeah. Significantly more intense, I think, at the stage you're at, in terms of just places that are pulling you than mine is. Yeah, sure. And so I'm like, even to write that, because what was our biggest argument last year was you didn't tell me, you didn't put it on the calendar. And now you're like, here's the calendar. Let's go. But I was like, shucks, that's good. Yeah. I need to grow up a bit and say, oh, you're tired of the alone together, or however you put it. It doesn't sound right either way today for some reason. But this is what it is. You want to know what's happening in my head? Here it is. So
on that, there was a sermon David did where he used us as an illustration.
Oh, wow.
And he didn't use our names, but he didn't think I noticed that he was speaking about us. I'm like, this bastard, how can you out me in front of the whole church?
So are you now going to say what he said so that everyone can cross-reference?
No, he said what? It's a sermon that's like 7 years ago.
Is it? Oh, okay. We're not those people anyway.
No, but he said that. He was like, I have these two friends who would sit together with both their laptops and they would just like, do their own thing. I just find that thing weird. Like, how do you do that as a married couple? And I'm like, why would you out me like this in front of the whole church? I know you didn't use my name. And I'm like, at that point, because we were celebrating that thing, I was like, well, joke is on you because me and my wife love it. Right?
5 minutes later.
Anyway, and maybe to say here, like, doom scrolling is mindless scrolling, because doom scrolling is going down the rabbit hole and finding
bad things.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that you're like, why did I read that?
Yes. So it's mindless scrolling. That's what we're talking about. Okay. Second unproductive habit. This one is this is our whole marriage.
Mm.
This is probably going to take the rest of our time together.
I'm scared. I'm scared.
Yeah.
I feel like you should have warned me, but okay.
It's in the area of domestic chores.
Oh, wow. All the wives watching, their ears have perked up.
Domestic duty.
Ish.
Anyway,
Yes.
so we have a long history, 11-year long history when it comes to domestic roles and domestic duties and chores and
responsibilities and rights.
Hey, and rituals. So maybe to set the context,
Yes.
that developed this unproductive habit.
Sure.
And here's the thing. I think this is such a beautiful story to tell because of the underlying emotional care that informed how this unproductive habit was formed.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there is a level at which both of us were trying to love each other, but in the process we created it. And that's why I'm saying it's not a bad habit. It's unproductive.
Okay. It's unfolding. It's unfolding.
So anyway, we got married, and we had marriage counseling in real time, which was being in the couple's home day in, day out, But part of that, we did not sit down and actually iron out, like we spoke, but not in detail. And again, I take responsibility as the husband of how our domestic chores are going to unfold. And so you jump into marriage, Lily, and you just assume, man, I'm going to cook because I'm the girlies in the house. I'm like, man, I didn't grow up with, you're going to cook, we're going to cook. Food was just on the table. Sometimes food was not on the table. And then it was like, oh, what are we eating today? You have hands.
Yes.
Figure yourself out, right? There's food in the fridge. You do what you have to do. So I'm like, all right, cool. Plus, I'm a cereal faster. I'm not like, oh, my meals need to come at. So now, that alone.
You don't get hangry here. I just realized in this moment.
I don't get hangry.
You don't get hangry.
Food is...
Wow.
That's why I'm like, when we have food and it's amazing, I enjoy it because I'm like, man, I'm in this moment. But I'm not thinking, oh, I need to eat because I need to have energy for... We eat, it's fine. If we don't eat, it's okay. Let's continue with life. There's other things. When there's water, drink vati. Vati is good for you, right? Okay. Anyway, so you come in and you have the cereal faster for a husband, but you somehow burdened by the gods of marriage that you have to cook. And I didn't put that pressure on you. And that burden just came from nowhere.
Kinda.
Okay. You'll tell us. And then that's one thing. Now, how do we order, our domestic life around the cooking? You are taking the thing. So I'm like, okay, I'll have to wash dishes, right? Sharp, because you're cooking, I'll wash dishes. But I didn't realize that that's killing you. You hate cooking. I hate washing dishes because I was tortured with dishes all my life, right? 3 a.m., dad wakes you up, go wash dishes because you...
Why did you sleep?
Because you slept.
Who did you think you were?
Anyway.
The days Zaya does that.
Yeah.
You're going to do it to her.
I will. Hardcore.
How dare you go to bed? I think I feel sorry for you because you're sleeping.
And he said good night nice.
Yeah, he knew exactly what he was. He's
3
like,
a.m.
and I'm saying he probably said his alarm.
3 a.m. is like, your friend is here.
Need to interview
I'm like,
that.
which friend? Oh, you left them in the kitchen. Are you going to wake up? What are you going to do? Anyway,
yes.
So that happens. And then, cut this long story short, at some point we try switch roles. I'll cook, you wash dishes. We're like, oh, this is perfect. But I take 3 days to cook a meal.
We ate at midnight.
And it's rough. I cook long because it's an art. It's supposed to be a painting.
Just get the onions on the stove, bruh.
Phela ngifuna ukuba uGordon Ramsay no Oliver Twist.
Oliver Twist.
Jamie Oliver.
Jamie Oliver, yes.
Okay. So then that doesn't work. And then we kind of switch back. And then we going. But then something happens in the process. I then kind of lose myself.
Okay.
And that's in relation to all other house chores. And then
you became a silent partner.
I became a silent partner. And so I'm thinking in the back of my head.
It was so bad.
It was bad.
It was really bad.
I'm thinking in the back of my head, I don't wanna step on my wife's toes. Nah? What's that reaction?
Sorry,
for?
no, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't want to step on my wife's toes. So I'm gonna restrain my obsessive compulsive disorder. What do you mean?
Don't call it that.
What is it then?
I don't know.
Okay. I'm asking. What is it?
Because OCD is deep, bruh.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
there's levels of OCD,
Yeah,
guys.
that's
It's not.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I'm
I
like,
was being an overthinker. Sorry, go ahead.
So I'm like, I when it comes to domestic life, I like to order things a certain way, and you found me like that.
I did.
Where I order things, and things need to live where they live. Pens cannot stay randomly on desks. Pens have a slot where they go into, and they have to be there unless they are used. And even when they're used, when you're taking a break to think, your pen must sit in a certain way.
Wow.
You can't just leave your pen lying around. Your shoes need to be in an orderly fashion. Your clothes need to be in an orderly fashion. Your shoes need to be color coordinated.
Hello, when I met you, you had red, all your red shoes were together.
Yep.
All your white shoes were together.
Yep.
Yeah, Grace is saying, wow.
My black shoes were together. My white sneakers were everything was.
I see that.
Right? So then we get married, and then I'm like, hey, I'm going to kill this chick. And plus, we then have that switch between cooking and washing dishes. And I'm like, this chick might be dying. But I'm not asking you. I then take it upon myself to say, take my OCD, put that guy in a closet, because then life is going to be hectic. But then I'm not proactive in what solution needs to be in place so that we can continue having a marriage. But I just become this dead fish. You know, and the whole time I'm like, man, I'm trying to be gentle towards my wife. I'm trying to be, and that thing works fine. Again, it's an unproductive habit when you don't have a kid. But when Zaya came into the picture, then you needed to be 10 times the octopus you already were, right? And you had to carry like 500 things. Dishes are dropping here. I'm like, okay, I'll wash them, but then. Again, my OCD, if you wash dishes, you put the cloth on between the two sinks, I'm freaking out. And then I'm like, everything in me wants to say, do not put that dishcloth in between the sinks because the tap is going to drip on this thing and this thing is going to smell. So put it by the thing. But then I'm like, restrain, because you can't be like that. You need to be loving.
But then you don't pack the dishes.
But then I don't pack the dishes.
Yes.
Because in the unproductive habit, I develop bad habits myself or unproductive habits myself, right? But then we go on for a majority of our marriage where I am just like trying to maintain peace and not step on your toes. But it's a good instinct. It's a good feeling. But it's just unproductive because it leaves you in the cold. It left you in the cold. To kind of take care of a majority of the domestic life and chores and responsibilities. Because if they're not done my way, man, again, my brain goes into a vortex, then they're not done.
Yeah.
Right? Like you said, if I'm in the vortex, I'm in the vortex of
whatever
badness.
that vortex is.
If I'm in the vortex of goodness, I'm in there 100. So now I'm like, just maintain peace. Don't stay, okay, maybe try and help her. But I'm actually not helping you at all. But fast forward, I'm dying. Because now my shoes are not orderly. The cupboards are not the way I want them to be. The sink is, the fatu is there. But I need to maintain. But my maintenance is killing me. And I think I'm doing like a service to you. But I'm doing it to service to you. I'm doing it to service to myself. Because my brain is, twitching. Wires. What's it green? Tell us. Brown earth wire, green wire. All of them are mixing. I am twitching. But, and we just go like that. It's a very unproductive habit. Because we're moving in other areas in our lives. But when it comes to which is such an important space, this domestic space, man, we were.
Especially, I think for women who are
Yeah.
on the receiving end
Yep.
of whatever is causing that,
Yep.
you just become resentful.
Yeah.
You peed off all the time. You're just, because here's the thing, it might sound like, oh, why are you guys talking about dishes? But there's certain things that don't go away.
Yeah.
Like there's certain, the floor will get dirty. The laundry has to be done. There are things that just for us to be here, looking and being, there's a lot of stuff in the background, right? Just in this space, let alone our respective homes, when whoever's watching, that things need to be taken care of. And when you're running a household and you're the only one pulling, and then they call it, for a lot of wives, it's the mental load of figuring it out and when it's going to be done. This is this. Then you're resentful, which affects how you mother, it affects how you wife, it affects everything.
Everything.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's quite big. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's cool. I mean, I was gonna hand the mic. I was speaking for long anyway.
I think that thing was, I think that was the hardest thing. Well, it's maybe not thought. There were many things that were difficult.
One of the hardest things.
One of the hardest things.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I felt so corny that I was dealing with.
Yes.
That I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I'm now that typical wife who's complaining that he never does this, he never does that. And just to go back to those like areas where I'm like beginning, I did have that thing of like, oh, it's subconscious, man, this is what you do as a wife. But also you were working full time. I'm the musician at the time. So I'm flexible. So I'm in the house. So it kind of feels like a default setting. Like, you'll take care. Yes. So even like practically speaking. But then there's also the feeling, because I'm insecure, right? Got married. I was very insecure about a lot of things. And if I don't cook, he's going to leave me. Which is whack to admit now, but like those are the things that I would think that you will find all these imperfections and you will find out how imperfect I am, and you'll be like, ha, good shot, I'm out. Sure. You know what I mean? So it becomes this thing now, I'm overcompensating, and then you're not reacting to all these wonderful things I'm doing. Why are you not reacting? I made breakfast on a Saturday. How dare you not lose your mind?
Chick, I don't eat breakfast.
No, but I made it.
What are you doing?
What? So now that's happening, right? And then I'm trying to figure out this whole situation, but it's also now, it's practical. I'll never forget when we got married and the first time I cleaned our house after honeymoon, and then we met the couple that we were meeting with, and I was like, oh, it's the first time I cleaned my own place. And he was like, yeah, you're excited. Yeah, until it becomes the mundane. And I was like, it'll never be mundane. Not me. Yeah. I didn't say it to him, but in my heart, I was like, that's could your life. I'm going to always feel like this. Yeah. And now you like ticked off, you know? And so that goes. And then it's the everything. Now what happens is, when I say silent partner, you became a silent partner. So not only am I doing everything, but I'm also thinking about doing everything. My days are structured around all the things that need to be done. And then I'm ticked off, you know. But then also there's all these other things that are happening. And then, but at the same time, I'm like, I want my friend. I want to hang out with my friend, but I can't hang out with my friend because he didn't do this thing. And I'm angry. Yes. And now I have to work through the facts that this, whatever, the unfolded laundry has been sitting there for 3 days. But I'm like, how's your day? Also, I want to be happy. I don't want to be angry about that stuff. Now it's hard to connect. And then we're being together alone. It's just a lot. And then, so that's happening. And then once Zaya now was born, not obviously, but you have a child and something clicks in to you that, okay, it's not about me anymore. I need to, because she's going to cry. And the only way to soothe that cry is to do whatever needs to be done there. And I remember feeling disappointed that there were so many things that when we were talking about having kids that you said you would do and be that you weren't being and doing, you know, because I saw you being that guy, you know, when we were like in our late teens, early 20s, who's like cleaning his shoes before everything is neat. And I'm like, the guy I'm marrying, like it's gonna be, And I couldn't understand. I felt lied to. I felt deceived. And then I thought, maybe this is the real Blaque. Maybe this is the guy who's like a blob, like sometimes, or a lot, depending on the season, quite literally. And so I'm trying to reconcile who I actually married and who was like the other person guy. That maybe it's, you know, but then I would see that level of meticulousness in other areas. You know, and then so now fast forward to when I guess I reached a point of I just became silent. Were you silent or were you silenced?
Were you silenced?
I silenced myself
Yeah.
because I got tired of hearing myself complain.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's domestic life. It's every day.
Yes.
There will be a dish in the sink.
Yeah.
Every day. That's going to happen. And I was like, I cannot be frustrated over this.
Yeah.
I cannot be frustrated that I'm the one. It's fine. If I'm the one who knows where everything is, if I'm this, it's okay. It's okay. I didn't marry a bad person.
Yes.
Right. And it had to do work to be like that. You're not this, that is not the sum of who you are, you know? And so I'm sitting there going, it's okay. For my own peace, I'm not going to complain about this anymore. If it just means I have to be extra, then I will be that. But I cannot not enjoy the other good things of who my husband is because of this thing.
Sure.
And then I also started doing my own calculations.
Sure.
Where I'm like, I know when you are dipping, right?
And sorry to take you back, but that's
yeah.
probably like a big thing, and we could circle back to it.
Okay.
Choosing to not be caught up on one aspect of your marriage. That's not, in this case, that's very unproductive. Choosing not to focus on that and choosing to realize that there's 10 other things that are actually productive and good. Most spouses get stuck on that.
Yeah.
And that thing becomes, so overwhelming and becomes the be all and end all of their marriage.
And you're on TikTok and that's what all the women are talking about.
Yes.
You're like, Now it's like,
But that's like deep work on a spouse's part.
Yeah.
Because as that's happening to you, when it comes to this domestic stuff, in which we've had this conversation where I'm like, man, that was happening to me the whole time. Where I'm like, anyway, I'll get to the thing. I was just saying we need to circle back on that. Yeah. Anyway.
But it was just a thing where I'm like, because then what happens is I'm frustrated with these things.
Yeah.
Right. And now I'm in my own vortex.
Yeah.
And I'm in my little echo chamber of how, and then suddenly it's actually I'd be better off without this person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he didn't wash dishes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You start fantasizing about singleness.
You exactly, but you're only doing it in this one aspect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In this one thing, there's so many other things. And so I had to be like, this same person who is not doing all these things, which he should be doing. I wish he would do. But he's the same person who's like talking me up every single day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's the same person who I'll be like, I need to offload now. Stop what you're doing immediately. And, he'll listen. And all these other things where I'm like, but hold up. So I needed to also have a balanced view. And I'm like, I cannot keep being like, I didn't want to exist in that energy of frustration for myself. I wanted to enjoy my marriage, enjoy my family. And I'm like, fine, if it means I have to cook and wash the dishes afterwards so that I'm not PO'd when I wake up, that's fine. Like, it's okay. And I listen, I think this was like last year or the year before, I'd accepted it. It's fine. This is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm capable. I is kind, I is smart, and I is important. Right? But now I think then when, I was actually making a point to say, when I realized that when you're dipping, when you're falling off the edge, a lot of things around you crumble. And I know that you're crumbling because of maybe how you're not taking care of yourself as much as you should be. Yeah. And that could be sleep, dressing, all the things that make you black. When I'm like, this hair hasn't been cut. What's going on? That sweater has been worn a lot. Yeah. Right? And then I started kind of thinking, like, what could be wrong that that guy is the guy that's in, I'm not articulating this well, but what could be wrong within our setup that's the guy I'm experiencing. The guy who's like all over the place. And then 1 minute you'll have like two days of like, I'm up, I'm on top of things. And then something happens and it throws you off. And it kind of made me go, I don't know, man. And I guess it's just like, sometimes God answers the prayers that you didn't fully pray out loud. Because I was trying to figure out what was that about. Why was it that, like, are there two people? I don't think there are two people. Yeah. But the way my husband handles the boring domestic things of life that keep life standing is like so poor in the same way it is when he handles himself when he's in a poor state. So what's actually happening? Sure. And I think that's when we had that chat when you were like, actually, this is how I'd like things done. I just didn't know there was room for me to have that. Yeah. And I was like, flip, it makes perfect sense. Yeah. Because you've always been that way for me. You've always been accommodating, very accommodating. Like even in our friendships, like very like, and I'm like, it would make sense. Now I'm still thinking, this is my enemy. He's a hater. He just wants me to be barefoot
and pregnant
and not
and
have
sweaty.
And he just wants to. No. I'm like, I put you at the center of the story, and I think when I then
That's a powerful thing
understood
you
that,
do.
okay, maybe there's something more. Because again, women, we are vocal. You know, so I am going to hear other women say these things, which then makes it seem like that's all there is, and that's all there is, and that's all there is.
Yes.
That's all that is true as well. And I'm like, if I'm going to sit here and be like, I want to be here till I die, and surprise, surprise, I actually want to get old, that's like a big thing for me. Because I never used to want to.
Because that's my dream.
I was fine dropping out, bruh.
I know.
I was like, bruh.
Well, you need to get back to that 5 years.
Anyway, but now I'm taking long. But I think what I'm trying to say is like when I looked at it from that perspective, and I'm like, wait, it is consistent that Blaque will be, okay, how do you want to do it? Okay, how do you want to do it? Even if you're not telling me. And maybe that was the flop, that we never, you didn't ask. For whatever reason, we didn't actually talk about it. I assumed, you assumed, and you thought this is what she wants. And yet I didn't want that. And then now we're at the place where I'm like, I can't keep up.
Because here's the thing, I was afraid of that.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's good.
I know it's good now because we've chatted about the thing, but from day one. And so let me probably preface this by saying this: there's husbands who are lazy, and please don't watch this and justify your laziness. Go fix your stuff, right? But then I think there's this category of other husbands that I'm in, where I was afraid that you're not gonna keep up, right? And there's a famous historical character that I name my domestic personality after, that you said I must stop using, so I wouldn't use his name. But he's
a very bad person.
He's a very bad person, very militaristic, and he is like his way, no way. Just hard lines. And I know that's my domestic personality. Hard lines, I want to iron my own clothes. I struggled with, and we had that chat, like when you did the laundry, the first year of marriage, and I saw you hanging my shirts like this. And I was just like, Jesus, this is going to be a long marriage. But then I'm like, you are trying with everything you have.
I'm trying to be what I think you want.
Yeah, and with everything you have, I'm like, you're doing the laundry. But Blaque wants his shirts to be hung a specific way. He doesn't want his shirts that are white to be mixed with any of his other shirts. Let those shirts be washed on their own. Let my jeans be washed on their own. Let my pants be washed. Don't mix the underwear with any of the other stuff.
16 million loads.
Exactly. 16 million loads. It's going to be the whole day of laundry, and it's going to be very meticulous. And once we finish with that stuff, we hang it a specific way. It comes down. I'm going to iron it the whole day a specific way. Don't touch my clothings, right? My shoes are... Anyway, I have a very, very strict domestic personality. But now we get married and I'm thinking, man, that's going to kill this chick. I don't want to do that, right? But I'm not realizing that in saying I don't want to do that, I'm suffocating myself, which is not good for both of us in the long run. And so again, like you said, I'm trying to be accommodating. And that's what keeps me. For as long as that thing went on, I'm there thinking, man, okay, are we just, dying to self. I'd hear the husbands make jokes about, they called me out for dishes. I'm forced to laugh with them. But I'm like, that's not me. I want to wash the dishes. But now I need to be hardcore if I'm going to wash the dishes and I'm going to say the dishes need to be washed this way and we can't do that. You drink your coffee, easy, nice. And then after that, you're like, okay, let's put the cup in the sink. Everything in me flares up. I become Lord Zugo of the Fire Nation. I am like, you better wash that thing. As it's going in the sink, I'm looking at you. You better wash.
I'm actually scared, yes.
You better wash that thing.
With the lights as well. It's very tense.
I like that. As soon as it touches the sink, all I'm hearing is there's no water coming out.
And here I thought your biggest complaint was that I didn't close cupboards.
So the cupboards, I could complain about them because it's cute. But I can't complain about the dishes because that's every single moment of you take out a spoon. Already, I'm thinking you better wash that thing. I don't care what you're using it for. It better be washed and not washed and put on the rack to dry. No, you better put that thing has to go back. Once we leave this house, everything needs to live where it lives. Spoons need to be where they are, etc., etc. So now I'm coming. I need to compress that guy. I need to truncate. I need to say to him, calm the hell down.
Truncate.
Yes, it's long, but I'm like, calm the hell down, bro. This is gonna be a long marriage, right? But I'm not realizing that, man, I am not helping you at all.
Yeah.
And then I'm destroying myself. And it's only when I was like, in fact, a friend of mine who I didn't realize, we've been friends for 10, 11 years. I didn't realize we have the same personality. But because he's white, I'm black, difference in age. I just thought, could never, right? And then this one time we were both talking and he was like, man, I, pulled out the guy that we're not going to name. I pulled the guy out and I was like, that guy exists in you? I'm like, yeah, he existed. I was like, it's that moment. I was like, man, I'm going home now. Going home now.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'm going home now. I'm going to tell my wife, we're done. I'm done suffocating, dog. Got home. And as soon as we changed that thing, I'm like, look at how well you can breathe. I'm like,
I can breathe.
I've never seen your chest breathe like this. Yeah, like you're a gospel singer. Your chest. Because that was me. Every morning I wake up, I like get out of the room. I survey the terrain, and I'm like, look at how clean that sink is. I'm like, no dish. But I walk out of the room, go to the toilet at night, and I just stand there for 5 minutes looking at the sink.
That's a real thing, bruh.
It is. I'm like,
especially because our place is not big.
Yeah.
So you can feel everything.
I'm like, look at how clean that sink is. I'm like, oh, look at the dining table. No toys, nothing. I know it's just going to last for the night until Zaya wakes up. But man, this is amazing. And then by the time we leave, we're all leaving. Look, I'm like, we're going to come back to a house where everything is where it lives. Right? And it's only then where I'm like, man, you could breathe. I could breathe. And it's just.
But this is what I mean when I say that, like, struggling to keep up, but it's good.
Yeah.
Because you're also, like, again, it's dishes, but it's about understanding what the person needs.
Yes.
Because, yes, I was the one doing all the stuff, but I'm a freaking scatterbrain. Like,
Sure.
I'm
Sure.
all over. I didn't want to have to think of so many things.
Yeah.
That's why I'd be so forgetful. And it's because everything is here. Like, I needed... Like, it's good to have you be like, hey, mama, the cup. Because here's the thing. I can do it. Do I want to do it? No, I don't want to. I also don't want to be told what to do. Surprise, surprise. I thought that was just a you problem. But at the end of the day, I'm happy. I walk into the house, I can breathe.
Yeah.
And our 5-year-old will trash the house. It's okay. Then she's going to clean it up afterwards. After she goes to bed, we can breathe again. And that leaves space for conversation. That means I'm out of that irritation of you didn't do this, you didn't do that. And now I have to work through that to be friends with you, to have a nice conversation. It's helpful in that now the things that I am good at, you know, like now I actually enjoy cooking. I enjoy and there's certain domestic things I'm like, I'm not burdened by them as much. It's not always fun, right? But it doesn't feel like this oppressive, like I can function.
Yeah.
And I think that, I don't know, I think it's also good for a girl child to be seeing her dad do stuff in the house.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? And because I didn't grow up like that. Do you know what I mean? Even the early memories of and maybe subconsciously that's where it came from. That even though I saw my parents' marriage for a very short time, the little bit I saw, I was emulating. I don't have, my dad would drive. Okay, you drive everywhere. Okay, sharp. And then my mom did. She had the rest covered. Yeah. You know, I'm like, so even all of those things is so beneficial for just creating an environment where we can relate. And I'm like, I appreciate that. Like, so when I'm saying like, I'm celebrating that even though it's uncomfortable, it's good because I either am gonna keep complaining about how it is or do the uncomfortable work of adjusting to where you're trying to get us to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's like, I'd rather do that because it's nice. Like, it's nice that you make the bed every day now. Like, every day.
And I can breathe.
And you can breathe.
And I am happy. And we all happy.
And there's just more room to be friendly, to be friends.
Yeah.
Especially for me, who I struggle to I have to do a lot of work to put my irritations aside.
Yeah.
I think you're better at that sometimes. Sometimes you're not, but most of the time you can curb your irritation towards me for whatever reason and we can chat.
Sure.
Versus for me, I'm just thinking about how you didn't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm like, with the way our lives are right now, to have these domestic things like sorted with the intensity of everything that's going on. Yeah, man. Yeah.
And I would say then, how do we celebrate husbands in light of that?
Okay, that's the point.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm
you know,
celebrating you.
I know.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, our wife was watching this, our husband was watching this, and they, want to prompt a conversation with their spouse, in this case, their wife. I think what this has taught us and what has taught me particularly as a husband is, beans and bonds where cups form connections. You guys spoke, we just did not hear you, but we listened and we acted. Therefore, every single end of the month in 2025, we are hosting a live gathering for That Husband podcast community. If you're part of this community, part of this family, this is for you. Pull through. It's going to be an amazing time for us to actually connect. Let me tell you one thing that's amazing about this. The entry is free. All right? It is free. You don't have to pay anything. All you have to do is make sure that you book your seat immediately, because we are only taking in 200 people. We want it to be big enough to kind of welcome a lot of us, but we also want it to be small enough so that it's intimate, that we can build real connections. So only 200 seats that are limited. Book now. 2 ways. One, you can scan the QR code on your screen right now. Or secondly, you can click on the link below and make sure that you book your seat, book your friend's seat, book your spouse's seat, but make sure that you are pulling through to Beans and Bonds, where we're going to be using coffee cups so that we build real bonds and connections. Right? What can you expect? Number one, man, I'm going to be there. It would be dope for us to connect. I know some of you have questions about things I've said on this podcast, and maybe you just want to pick my brain on something. Pull through. It would be dope for you and I to connect. Secondly, we're going to have a guest. Man, people with really infinite wisdom on marriage, on husbandhood, on relationships. We're going to be connecting with them and really gleaning from their wisdom. So pull through for that. Number 3, we're going to have a live DJ who's going to be creating the vibe for us. And number 4, we are going to be having free coffee. Free entrance, free coffee, pull through. There's a free drink for you so that we can connect together. So 1st of March, Beans and Bonds is going to be happening. So pull through, tell everybody, make sure that you book your spot. All right, peace. I think what this has taught us and what has taught me particularly as a husband is, how if I don't take care of myself physically, if I don't take care of myself spiritually, if I don't take care of myself mentally, if I don't take care of myself of, in all these alleys, spiritually, physically, ali.
Yeah.
If I don't, then that's not, one, it's not helpful for me in the life that God has given me. But then secondly, and I think more detrimentally, it's not going to be helpful for you guys.
Yeah.
For you and for Zaya. And so I'm like, man, if we try and say to husbands, let's encourage you guys to really just take care of yourself. So had I taken care of myself in just saying, man, like I'm a bit OCD and that's how I function. And I think it's been good for my survival. Here's how we can incorporate it into our household. I would have still taken care of you, because now I kept quiet with the belief that I'm taking care of you, right? I don't want to say it's a guys, because I didn't intentionally hide that, but it was with the intention of trying to take care of you. But I looked after you in ways that weren't actually looking after you, because in the long run, they hurt you. But had I just taken care of myself by being honest and saying, you know me, because you knew me. You saw how I was. And here's this thing. How do we then try and incorporate it here? It might take us, maybe a couple of months to adjust. And had we adjusted the first year of marriage, man, it would have saved us years.
Yeah.
Years,
Eventually
right?
adjust.
We would eventually adjust.
Yeah.
I mean, even now, we've adjusted. I'm like, we're okay now. We're soaring. And we've adjusted just because I came clean and said, man, this is how I function. This is who I am, etc., etc.
This is who I am.
From your end, I'm like, man, you saw the patterns when I would unravel. So you'd see glimpses of this guy who's orderly and then you'd be like, okay, is there. But then you start thinking, man, this is hype. This is hype. He only comes out, when the stars are aligned. It's not really here.
I mean, I won't even lie. That would even be my language.
Yeah.
I'd be like, someone's like, Black, this is it. I'd be like, for now.
Yeah.
And it becomes this very cynical, very like, it's whack.
Yeah. So I'm like, there's that. And so then it's like, okay, you see the patterns. So the thing that I'm encouraging wives to do is to press it into that. Because had you also had an honest conversation to say, and you you would say it in passing, like, oh, like now, it's only going to last for a short time. You'd say, this is who I got married to. I don't know who this guy is or whatever the thing is, but we're actually not sitting and asking the questions that you later asked. It's like, what's going on?
What actually happened?
What happened? So I'm encouraging the wives that in celebrating husbands, ask those questions, press in and actually say, I have evidence. You acting differently. You're not acting the same way as the guy that I knew 5 years ago, 6 years ago, right? And let's have that conversation, which practically leads me to say, again, put it in those weekly check-ins.
Yeah. But it also...
Because you can't track the thing necessarily well after 3 years. But you can track it week in, week out. Okay? I just have 7 days to remember. I have 7 days worth of receipts to keep. And say, as opposed to 3 years worth. After 3 years of receipts, some of them are like this. You can't even see what's written on the thing. They're gone. But 7 days, the receipt is still fresh. Yeah. You can say, dog, something is weird here.
Yeah.
14 days later, man, like first week, second week, there's clearly a pattern that's happening. Let's try and change it for the third week or whatever the case is, you wanted to say
I was going to say that also with that thing, though, I also had to learn. There's a way I think... Okay, let me speak for myself. No, I'll say as women, maybe people, I don't know. That you ask a question that's not really a question, but an accusation.
Yes.
That
women are good at that.
Like we twisted, bruh.
Yes,
like...
Women are good at that. And that thing does...
It's terrible.
It debilitates husbands.
I think I didn't know how bad it was until I realized I was doing it, admitted I was doing it, stopped doing it. There's a way I can ask to be like, oh, so you put the coffee there. You think that's a good idea?
Yep.
There's a way you can ask that question that's different.
Yeah.
And so it's the thing of now asking for the sake of information.
Yeah.
I want to know. And I found that I guess it's that whole thing of, you'll catch more bees with honey. If I'm trying to have a happy life, guys, and a happy marriage is not... It's not the 1 year celebration. It's 3 o'clock, it's 5 o'clock, it's 7 o'clock, it's 11. It's all of that stuff, right?
Yes.
I'm in that moment, and it's tough, but it's worth the sacrifice, so that it's comfort. Yeah. Where I'm like, shucks, most of the times I would ask to basically say what I've been wanting to say, which is to accuse you of this thing. But when I started asking, because now I'm like, this is not a person I'm in competition with or who's my enemy, This is a person I'm trying to partner with. Yes. Let me see what's actually happening. And how much you're willing to actually, you were willing to tell me. You know what I mean? It's and I think when a person feels accused, you go into defense mode. Yes. You don't go into, here's disclosure. Let me share what's happening. Yeah. I'm going into, she's coming with fire. Whatever I need to say, I need to protect myself and probably strike back as well. And then that's not helpful. Yeah. So I think when I did that and realizing that, I don't know, I think maybe in employing some of these practices, with us, and then the conversations I have with other husbands, where I'm like, shucks, I don't know. It seems like you guys want to be asked questions. Sometimes you just want to I don't know, everyone wants to be heard and seen.
Yes.
It's not just the women in the relationship who want to be, I guess it goes back to that flower thing where we've just assumed you don't want the gifts. You know, Valentine's is geared towards women getting the gifts. And what are you doing for, so even that song, Valentine's is coming, where's your boyfriend? Right? It's because you need to get gifts from this man.
Yeah.
Like no one's really asking on the other side, you know? So I think it's realizing that, shucks, you're a human too.
Yeah.
And surprise, surprise, there could be reasons you are a certain way. Not just for me. Like I was dealing with this and that, and I was dealing, and he needs to understand. Like, yeah. So
I think husbands want to be heard and therefore understood. Jim Turner says that wives want to look deep into their husband's eyes and see their reflection.
Get out of here.
It's fire, eh?
Just like
Fire, eh?
that's
Yeah.
whoa.
So I'm like, ask me questions. Don't accuse me. Ask me questions. I'll give you my mind.
Sure.
But you want to look into my eyes and see your reflection, right? Because you want to know that I see you, right?
Can I tell a quick story?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not my story.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of The Alchemist, he recites this. So it says the alchemist picked up a book, and the book was about Narcissus, I think it is. And in the story he's telling, it's like Narcissus would go to the river to look at his reflection, how beautiful it is, you know, that whole thing. And then one day he looked so deeply that he fell into the water. And normally that's where the story ends. But in this version, he reads how the forest and whatever, and when Narcissus fell, a flower grew, right? And then the flowers, the forest is all like, oh my gosh, they're grieving with the river that, oh my word, you lost Narcissus, he's gone. I'm not telling it the way it's told. And then the river is like, they're like, oh, how beautiful he was, you know, and now you're not going to get to see me anymore. And the river says, oh, I didn't know he was beautiful because I was looking at his eyes to see my own beauty.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, So when you're saying that, I'm like, just that self, and this is what I'm saying, like the conversation, I think when we changed, let me speak for myself, when I changed my approach to you, which is still like an ongoing thing, to be like, I didn't marry myself.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because then go look at the mirror.
Yes.
You don't need my eyes.
Yes. I married you. And if we're going to get through these things, I need to find out what's happening with you. And not just you in relation to me. Because you said something earlier about how husbands encourage them to take care of themselves. And I think that's so huge because it does really set the tone a lot. And like, I don't know, man, like when you are well, or when I see you striving to be well, striving, even though sometimes I want to be like, it's okay, come to bed, you don't have to do all of that, it's okay. But when I see you and how empowered you feel, you move differently. And then everything is kind of like different. And then that challenges me as well to be like, actually, I can take an extra 30 seconds to wash that cup. Or I can, whatever, fill in the blank. And so when I say I'm struggling to keep up, it's a good struggling to keep up because I want to grow.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm like, if this is the version of my husband that has, come to the fold and you finally found space to exist the way you'd like to exist, I would like to know who I am beside you because a lot of my existence has also been survival, trying to survive these ways that you were being, trying to survive. And I guess, it's that you're serving each other, but you're actually hurting each other, So, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's a dope note to transition from, again, that whole husbands wanting to be heard and understood, wives wanting to look into our eyes to see their reflection. Which then leads me to wanted to chat about, another set of eyes that are looking at us. And, in thinking about celebrating husbands, and you earlier saying, when Zaya wants to get married, you will ish. And I did my best to turn all of them off.
Except that one.
It's
okay.
Anyway, so, but that when she wants to get married, you'll point her to me to say, here's an example of what a husband is meant to be, So how do we try and encourage, celebrate husbands in light of them stepping into their role in front of a watching world, but the immediate world being their kids.
How do we encourage them?
Yeah, as a wife, how would you encourage me to continue stepping into my role in faithful, healthy ways with knowing that Zaya is watching? Because in one sense, that could be pressure. In one sense, that could be like, but in a very real sense, it's there whether you like it or not. And so encouragement helps you to walk more fiercely intentional, and it helps you to walk with an awareness so that you're not just walking or walking nje, or secondly walking avoiding the pressure, which then makes you walk in funny ways with limbs, etc. So walk with fierce intentionality,
I think see it as a gift, not a burden.
Sure, come on now.
You've seen those TikToks and they're like when a podcaster says something profound and then they repeat themselves.
Yeah.
See it as a gift.
Yes. Yeah.
Not
Why do they slow down?
I don't know.
Right.
But I think see it. Okay, let me focus.
Christian Go
Grace
podcast.
is kicking me. Shaz and I would love to be on a podcast like that. Let me not lie. Just for the vibes.
Yeah.
But okay, for real, like I think see it as a gift.
Yeah.
And not a burden.
Sure.
In that you have a captive audience who is just excited to see what you have. So obviously we perform, and I remember talking to Sunny, my bestie, shout out Sunny. And we would talk about this thing of getting on stage as performers. And how when we're nervous and we're scared, what do they think? What do they say? Until one day, I don't know if I said it or she said it, but we're talking about it. And we're like, the audience is there and they will take what you're giving them.
Yeah.
And that's not to say you disrespect them, right? But that means that if you're going to come up there and do nonsense, we're going to watch it and we'll react to that. If you're going to come up there and do whatever, we're going to watch it and we'll react to that. We haven't put a list of things, requirements that you need to sort of tick off. You know what I mean? We're sitting there.
We are your dragons, train us.
Give us, so go hard, go in, you know what I mean? And so if we look at those little eyes that are watching as a gift, ready to receive whatever it is you're going to give them, right? That can be dangerous as well for them, but Zaya's at your mercy, right? And there is beauty in that you get to intentionally help shape her world. Like that's the thing. She's God's child. God will do and take her where she needs to go. But I'm like, the gift of that is like to run, man, and like do your absolute best as somebody who just wants to see you do that. For somebody who's like, she's team Babo, she's team Black. You know what I mean? She's not on any other team right now. She is like, let's go, let's do this. And I think if you see it as a gift, then I guess for all the husbands who are fathers, who want to be fathers, or who have just little people watching them, be empowered by that. And I think if you remember that someone's watching, it might also help you remember what you're doing, because sometimes we kind of go into this autopilot.
Sure.
We're not thinking about what it is. So I'll give you an example. So you know how I feel about PDA. I'm cringing. I remember one time we were at my sister's house and you wanted me to kiss you goodbye. And I was like, she's going to see us after 10 years of marriage. Like, come on. But PDA is just, and listen, this is my wife. This is what it is. And obviously in inappropriate ways, you show affection to me in front of Zaya, right? And I remember it would be like, hey man, this, it makes me feel like a child. But I remember just realizing in that moment, this one day, she was kind of playing, but she's kind of looking at us. And I was like, shucks, I have an opportunity to form what might be, or to help form what might be a core memory for her. My husband's trying to do something. He's trying to love on me in this public way in front of her, whether it was kiss me on the cheek, whatever it was. And to just allow you to do that. And to see that as a gift, that flip, she's going to grow up and wherever the Lord takes her, but she's going to grow up and she'll have a reference.
Sure.
Right? I wasn't being fake, right? But I was being a grown-up. I was being a wife and a mother in that moment. But I'm like, she's going to grow up and actually have a reference. I didn't have a reference. And so I took a lot of junk because I didn't have a standard to look to. Right. And these standards, again, they're not built at, my parents were married for 30 years. They're built at dinner. They're built at drives in the car. They're built at those things. And I'm like, and I think it's a gift that we get, you get to give her and all these little people,
Yeah.
so that they get to have like better bricks. You know what I mean? Than like,
Goodness.
yeah,
Oh.
you know, which again, I think in their own stories, our parents did their best with what they knew. You know, and you got to forgive them for where they fell. She'll have to forgive us
She'll
for
have
where
to
we,
forgive
you know what I
us.
mean?
Please forgive us, God. You watching this on YouTube
And it probably looks so pixelated and weird.
Yeah.
Because maybe like podcasts are like holograms now or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
they're sitting there with them.
Yeah, they're in your room.
Yeah.
So I think it's that don't feel burdened, but like to feel empowered.
Yeah.
You know, and also I think like, I don't know, man. We're willing. Like we want to be here.
Yeah.
I want to be here now.
Yeah. In this place.
In this place.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
No, that's dope. And here's the thing, you know, so we can, you know, use that dichotomy. Gift, not a burden, right? And I think that's perfect. But we can like dive deeper into that for the sake of encouragement. That, you know, when we think of gift or burden, we think that the burden is imperfect and the gift is perfect. But failing to realize that every gift comes with burdens, right? So I'm like, I could get you a car now. It's a gift. I mean, you have to pour petrol in that thing. You have to maintain it, right? And so these little people and them having their eyes on you is a gift. But that gift does come with burdens. You're going to mess up. You know, you're going to, you know, not kiss affectionately the one time, but I'm gonna scream that you left them fatugo in between the.
You don't scream. Let's not mislead the people. Okay. You scream inside, maybe.
I'm gonna take the fatugo.
Yeah, you become tight
intensely.
You move very tightly
and put it somewhere
that's
else.
What you do.
Right, and she'll see that, and then I have to, you know, apologize. Funny thing, she's learning to accept apology now. She knows how to accept an apology, but now she's learning to respond to the acceptance of an apology. So I'd say sorry, and then she says, "Oh, I forgive you," or "I accept your apology." So this one time she said, "I accept your apology," and I was like, "Oh, thanks, Saya." And then she's like, "Babo, what does accept your apology mean?"
It's hello, how are you? I'm fine. What do we actually say? What does that mean?
I'm like, you just said you accept my apology, and then you turn around and ask me.
She's like, now it's in the front of her mind.
What do I mean when I say I accept your apology?
Sure,
right?
yeah.
Anyway, but I'd have to have those moments if I realize again that, you know, every gift comes with its burdens. It's not a burden itself, but it comes with burdens. You know, that you have to take care and nurture this gift, etc., etc. So I think it's an encouraging thing to know that for husbands, you know, as they maneuver that part of their lives. In closing, Lillian, sorry that I called you Lillian on camera.
You do it all the time. I don't accept your apology.
Okay,
because you do it all the time, all the time.
Sorry, Lily Million, you've won. So you weren't committed to me for 5 years. How is that because you met somebody over the weekend who said that they had the same experience.
Yes.
So when that happened, I was like, oh, so this Chiquita is not unique. I wonder how many other husbands are there not knowing
that this girl is like any day now.
That their wives have been counting down. I knew that my wife was counting down. And I was like, poor chick, she's a pessimist. And she forgot who she's married to.
No, I don't think I fully knew the level of determination you have.
And the level of optimism that comes with that determination.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
I am just like, Chiquita, we are here till Jesus comes back or one of us clocks. But your 5 years is gonna come and pass. So I was thinking to myself, I wonder what she's gonna have after 5 years. What's the new goal? 10 years? Then when we turn 15, that's when you're like, okay, we'll wait, and then we're gonna move it. I'm like, chick, you're gonna wait till you actually gonna start praying, God, don't take my life because I want this marriage to end. Don't take my life.
To be right.
I'm willing to divorce him at 90 years old.
To be like, I was right.
I was right. I waited till we turned 90 and you left.
Oh my gosh. Like, there are people who live their lives like that, guys.
I know, that's what I'm saying. So I didn't realize that there might be a lot of husbands who have wives like that. So how do we encourage those husbands to first be aware?
I think the first thing is to be aware.
Yeah.
And
what is that thing? Let's start there, Lillian. What is that?
so for me, and also this lady that I spoke to. So in the beginning, it shows itself as, yeah, we're getting married, but it's gonna end soon. It's gonna end soon, right? And don't get me wrong, it's not like I walk down the aisle and as I'm signing, you know what I mean? I'm like, it's gonna end. But there's this
Maybe that's why you were crying.
I was crying because I was freaked out.
You were like,
I was freaked out.
I'm gonna leave this man in embarrassment.
I was freaked out, and that dress was tight here, and my breath was here. Like, I think I was just freaked out that this is actually happening.
Yeah.
Right. So there's this hum. It's like the sound of the fridge.
Sure.
You know, those of us with older fridges.
You don't realize there's just a sound. You don't realize the sound is there until there's load shedding.
Exactly. There's just a sound. Yeah. And so, but what happened was then I had to figure out why there was the sound. Yeah. And so I think that's the first thing, to admit that there's this thing that is like, yeah, but maybe he's gonna find out that I'm not this amazing person and he's gonna leave. And admit that, figure out why, and admit that or assess how it's showing up. So I didn't think it was leaking. I didn't think my thing of not being fully in was leaking. But it's almost like there's a subconscious agreement you make with yourself that my 100% is actually going to be 80%.
Sure.
Or 75%.
Sure.
So I'm going to fight, but not that hard. Hence, it can be easy to, in a dispute, I'm already subconsciously preparing for when I have to move out. I'm going to go back to my mom's house. Okay, then I'm doing all of that. I'm not thinking, how are we going to resolve this to get to the next place? You know, in the same way that if I have an argument with like my sister, I'm not thinking, okay, this is where we stop being sisters. Like, that's stupid. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm just thinking, okay, we'll get over this. I wouldn't think like that. I would think, okay, sharp, this is now the unraveling.
We need to mark this point because when we divorce, I'm going to remember that
I need to. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but now the work was then, why do I actually think that way?
Yeah.
Because I'm married to someone who is just like, you know, when a bird is and you're like, you want to be like, face that way, the sky is that way, it's not this way. I'm like, that's you. You're just like, gah. I'm like, why is he like this? What is he seeing in me that he's like this? And what is it about me that is put off by that? There's something wrong with me. And I had to admit that there was something wrong with me. It's nothing that... So what I'm saying is that you could do something wrong and I would be like, see, that's proof. No. There's nothing wrong with you. Yeah. The issue was with me. And that's when I realized that, I haven't actually been committed. Now, I didn't realize that. I think you
don't consciously say I'm not committed. Yeah.
I think I realized it maybe like after Zaya was born, like which would have been like, you're 6 years. Yeah, 5, 6 years. Where I'm like, oh, I'm actually afraid the truth of the matter was I'm afraid to be fully perceived.
Sure.
And to trust that I can be fully perceived, seen, be okay with there'll be parts that he does not like, right? Because you're not God. It's okay. I'm not God either. Yeah. And that he's here. And not just that he's here because I made a commitment, but he wants to be here. I was afraid of who would I have to be to actually live up to somebody who's loving me like that.
Sure.
And so it's like, you can't do this woe is me thing.
Sure.
Because he's like, okay, so that thing sucks about you. I also agree, it sucks. And no, I just want to sit in it sucks. I'm fine. It just, no, and what are we going to do about that? And so when I realized that, shucks, it's me. And then obviously those things are not born from a vacuum. It's from life experiences, childhood, what, teenage issues, all of those things, stuff that lies that I didn't realize that I ingested and made part of my identity, lies I had told myself, all of those things. And then it's like, sure, for me to actually be the kind of wife I actually want to be, right? Because I'm the kind of person who I want to be. If I'm going to do something, I want to give it my all, right? That's just who I am. And you're the same. And if we're going to be those people, shucks, there's a lot of crap I need to actually let go of. And I kind of like my crap. And I admit that I kind of like this. No one will ever understand me. It's kind of nice here. You know, it feeds a certain, way of being, a mindset that allows me to be a certain way rather. And so I'd encourage someone who's doing that to figure out where that's coming from. Is that coming from your spouse or it's coming from you?
From you.
Right? Because you were actually giving me the opposite messaging the entire time. You know, even things like how you would explain the importance of, I think it was in, I don't know, one of these times we're speaking about when I used to struggle with depression, that I'm committed, like I'm here. And how I couldn't understand that what do you mean you're just here? What else is there? Like there has to be a, no, I'm here. You know, and I'm like, oh, so you can just choose. So you're choosing to be here with all the options. Okay. Who am I as a person who someone has chosen to be here with in the state? You know, so I think it was doing that work so that you don't shortchange not only yourself, but your spouse, your kids, because that half committed thing, it shows up in everything. And then be willing to be vulnerable, because now I am vulnerable. I can sit there and be like, shucks, I see that couple we were speaking about earlier on who've been married for 40 years. And I'm like, I want to reach 40 years.
Yes.
And I know that 40 years is going to come with a lot of, you know, there's been a lot of forgiveness that would have had to take place.
Yeah.
Like that's the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, let's go. There'll be a lot of things that we're going to have to deal with. And yeah, I want that because I want to be there. But not just there. I want to be like happy there. And that puts me out there. Now, okay, like this 7 years in, hey, you want to get married? Like now I'm like fully like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
You know, I can stop being so afraid, or rather I'm scared, but not be as crippled, by it.
Sure.
And not think that every fight means it's over.
Yeah.
Or it's a reason for me to pull the plug.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like I went on a tangent there.
No, that's good. Because then a couple of things I was thinking about. One, somebody might say, how could you get married if you knew that you weren't ready? I'm like, it's not a conscious on the surface. I am choosing this kind of posture. Like,
because that would be deceptive. That's like
you're just
dealing
with a lot of insecurities. You're dealing with a lot of brokenness that you yourself aren't aware of, and it's coming out and showing up as you're doing life with me, and then you're like, wait a minute, like I didn't know that this is part of how deep my insecurities go. Yeah, right.
Or like a lack of self-love.
Yeah,
because if my self-love is low, I can't interpret you loving me because you're not supposed to love us. You are not. What are you doing?
Yes, when I don't love myself.
Yeah, you know, you know, sounds corny, but it's true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then the other thing I was thinking about is then the husband who's not me, who's not like, okay,
sure.
So are you done now? Because that's me. I'm like, yes. Okay, you done being negative. Okay, let's go. Okay, you're not bothered. I am not bothered. You're not leaving. I am not going anywhere. Okay, because I remember there was a time, I forgot what we were chatting about, and you were like you would at some point intentionally poke the bear.
Yeah.
And then I'm like,
because I want a reason for the thing to crumble, so I can be right that it was going to crumble.
I'm like, you poke. This bear is very thick. Poke. There's nothing. Yeah. I don't know. Okay, what do you want? Like, right? But then there's other dudes who don't have thick bear skins. When they get poked and they start bleeding, and then you poke them hard enough, then they either, the worst case scenario, react in ways that are violent or abusive, or the other, it's not the best case scenario, but it's not as worse, where they just then slip out and go find relief.
Yeah.
And then they have weak hands, therefore weak zip management, because they're like, yo, I'm fine. Sure. And me, I've been showing I'm fine. I'm trying every day. You poke every day. Bleed. I see Betty at work. Betty's very soft. Betty's like, I'm fine. We can make this thing work. And then I'm hurt, confused, and then click. Realizing I don't want to do that part. I can't access my wife because, again, she's dealing with her own brokenness, and she doesn't have language to communicate with the husband. She's doing this thing, she's crumbling, but just doesn't know how to throw a lifeline, doesn't know to raise her hand and say, I'm drowning. Sure. So how do you speak to that husband and say, Eshimpan, we pray the anointing of Black Newborn over your life. Hold on.
Like, honestly, in this moment, I don't actually know how to answer the question.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to imagine if a husband friend was sitting in front of me with that same thing, like if you're an actual husband saying that's my thing, yo.
So maybe
I would
in another way, walk them in the shoes of their wives, because maybe that's what he needs to see.
But I think that actually leads to the what you call the answer I was going to give.
Okay.
That you maybe shucks, maybe it's time to go on a full-on fact-finding mission.
Okay.
With this person, because I mean, to walk in, for me to say this is what I'm feeling, because I'm telling you,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But that practice we spoke about, where you just go and find out,
Yes.
and it might be a long thing. It might be like it might take you like a year or something, or like you were literally trying to get to know who this person actually is. Because it's like, I can see what's going on here, but just to find out, like there's a chest of drawers that is stinking up the house. I'm just gonna go open it. Do it in love. Do it in kindness. Do it not with, I'm gonna open this to find out what's wrong so that you can become the wife that I want you to be. But just to see you as a human.
Yeah, that's another podcast moment where you have to say that
Doing.
again. Say that again.
What did I say?
Say more, don't say less. Say that again. Open it. Not so that she can become the wife that you want.
I'm doing it for you to become the wife that I want you to be.
But for her.
Because your intention,
yeah,
right? Because I think everything in this world moves with intention.
Yes.
What's actually, and so you got to get to a place, I think, and maybe that's where love being the act, a choice, sacrificial, to be like, I actually want to see this person well.
Yes.
I actually want to see this person at a good place. And again, I feel like always we need to put this. We're not putting, this is not for people who are in like dangerous situations, right? This is just, y'all are not clicking. Something's going on. And you can probably figure out that, no, man, surely this is not there's got to be more to this.
Yeah.
I want to see you free of that thing.
Sure.
And to be like, you internally with yourself. You don't have to say, hey, to be saying, I'm going on a fact-finding mission with you now, but internally, like, broach those kind of conversations.
Sure.
To be like, if for instance, if you've made a connection that there's this ex she talks about, or there's this dad she talks about, then maybe you've made a connection. Could ask questions. So what? And then you don't say, so could that be the reason why?
You are not.
When your dad didn't come to your matric, whatever, is that the reason why you are no, it's just like, oh, okay, cool. And as you unpack, perhaps you can start unpacking together, and you can be able to reach a place where you now are tackling these things together. And it's like, shucks. So like now, for instance, I'm able to be like, yeah, I'm just insecure right now. And I'll say that. I was embarrassed to say that I'm insecure, because you're not supposed to be insecure in this world. And being insecure is an insult. She's so insecure. Yeah, I was, bro. Yeah. Like, and sometimes I still am. And I can be like, yo, Black, this thing is flaring up that thing. It's no longer embarrassing, And so I'm just like, I guess a husband who's sitting in front of me, to get into her head, let it be about, let me get into her head so that we can actually hopefully make her better. And by God's grace, normally it will bleed into how you relate to each other.
Yes.
I don't know if that's enough, but I think
perfect.
where I'm at, my 11 years of having done marriage and just being a human on this earth, there is power in information.
Yeah.
Go find out.
Yeah. That's good, Lillian. Yeah, that's good.
Thanks.
Yeah, appreciate this.
I was holding myself from, uttering your government name. But you see, I respect you. So I didn't do that.
Sorry, Lily. I call you
No, don't call me Lily. It's weird. It's actually weird when you say Lily.
Exactly. I call you Lillian from affection.
I know. I actually know that.
Yeah.
See, I am committed. Not my enemy. See, an older me would be like, he's just not my enemy.
Anyway, two things. One, I'll tell you the second one after the first one.
You'll tell me the second one after the first one.
Yes, that's both of them.
Okay, cool.
I was gonna set it up and then go back to the first one, but the first one, what's been, I just got the thing now after you ended your
soliloquy,
your spiel, soliloquy. I wouldn't hear you. Anyway, but 11 years, what's the one thing that you like, man, I'm grateful for?
It's going to sound repetitive for anyone that has known us long enough.
That's fine.
But our friendship.
Shout out, still.
Yeah. You are my friend. I don't know whether we spoke about it on my first appearance here, but there was a time we had like a really bad fight. Like
but we weren't even dating then.
No, not that fight. Kind of there was that. No, not that fight.
Oh, a fight where we didn't talk to each other.
Yes. Where for the first time in our lives, you actually slept on the couch by choice. I didn't kick you out. But I remember that that was bad. I can't even remember what, and it was actually linked to the domestic stuff, actually, funny enough.
It was rough.
But I remember being away and just being like so angry. And, again, you see things that are not there. You were posting WhatsApp statuses about good news you couldn't share with me. But I'm thinking you're posting these statuses because I was gone. I was leaving for 2 days. It was just bad. But I remember sitting there thinking, this is my friend, bruh. Like, I remember that you're my friend. And I'm your friend. And I don't want to be this way with my friend. And then that was kind of what helped me break the ice. Yeah. Kanti, you also just, So I'm like, it's our friendship, honestly. Because I think from our friendship, that's where
everything else
has flowed for us.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm trying to keep my answers short because I also know how to ramble, hey. But yeah.
That's why we married.
How long is this episode?
We are ramblers.
Fine. Ramble.
Anyway, and then the last thing is I loved how you said yesterday somebody didn't wait to be given their flowers. They planted their seeds. And then they said, come pick the flowers.
Oh, yeah, I did say that.
Celebrate me.
Sometimes I'm like something, hey?
You're
once in a while.
Yeah?
Actually, yeah.
So, ngicela my flower.
I might not be giving you flowers.
No, Pella, we're closing this episode. I guess Pella, yellow is the new red.
Yellow's the new red.
Celebrate.
Okay.
Celebrate me.
Sure, in public. You know what? I'll give you your flowers.
Yes.
And the flowers are to... why am I sweating now?
Because you're about to lie.
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, lie.
No, you should have warned me that we were going to do this.
It's a podcast.
I know. Okay. But your flowers are... I'm giving you flowers because you have been so determined to love me. Right? And that determination has shown itself in so many ways. I don't know. I remember before we got married, before we dated, I used to say, when I think of you, Blaque, I think of you like a soldier or like a bullet, where it's just like, this is what I'm doing, and in some ways that can be dangerous or whatever the case may be. But when you have tapped into that energy of just being a bullet, like it has been so beautiful to be on the receiving end of, I guess, a bullet of love. I don't know. That sounds like my metaphor's going all over the place.
Bullets are dangerous depending on who they're pointing at.
I guess so. I don't know. But what I'm trying to say is like your determination. Because from that, you've been intentional. You have been stubborn. Like you've been stubborn about me, about us. I mean, even like you doing this podcast, like... And the podcasting journey in the husbanding space, we're not going to go into details, has been challenging, like for us. Sometimes we'd watch an episode and I'd need to send you a WhatsApp to be like, yeah, we need to talk about that thing that you said there. I feel like, you know what I mean? But even in those moments, there was never like a defensiveness. Like you've walked the talk. Like I can sit there and be like, he's the real deal. Like I'm not gonna. There's no secret thing that's gonna come out. Like, it's the real deal.
And now people are gonna go look for secret things.
Know what I'm saying? Because normally it's like what happens in these things is you see these guys on podcasts and people go, I wonder what the wife thinks. I wonder what the wife is thinking of this. And that's happened before on that one. Sure. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I'm like, no, it's really that. It's really that constant. I'm falling. I'm getting up. I'm falling. I'm getting up. I think that has kept us because many times I would have fallen and got out. You know what I mean? I'm like, And so, yeah, just your intentionality, your determination, and your fierceness in
Fierce intentionality.
your fierce intentionality. But like you've loved me fiercely,
Sure.
you know, that's a line from a poem. But like I can sit there and be like, sure, yeah, this person he's forced matters. and matters adapted to what he wanted, you know. And also I think the last thing is you always make me feel special. Like, I don't know, like sometimes I want to be like, for real, Black? Come on. Like you always, and I don't know if it's you're doing this so that my wife can feel. I'll never know the difference. And you don't need to tell me whether it's coming because I need my wife to feel special or because you just think I'm really amazing in my old sweatpants that you're trying to get rid of and the shirt that I've had for.
I need to burn those sweatpants.
and they're so comfortable.
I just remembered now.
And they're so comfortable.
and I tried buying you other pants, but they're too fancy for you.
Yeah, now I wear them out. Yeah.
So I'm like,
you know, but my point is just like you always make me feel wanted and special. Even when I haven't like wanted myself.
Sure.
And I think that's really been integral in like my healing journey and just becoming like a better human in general. So you would be the husband I want Zaya to have.
Sure.
Honestly.
Sure.
And I want you to be able to look at her and say, I'm your reference. You know, because I think there's a lot of do as I say, not as I do. Right. But I'd want you to be able to be confident enough to say, girl, you should look for a guy like me.
Sure.
You know.
Thanks,
there's your banquet.
Sabonga.
Your bouquet.
Banquet for banquet.
Buffet.
Yeah. We appreciate you, Lillian.
Yeah.
In this place.
You are welcome in this place.
We unleashed you in this place. We invited you in this place. You know. It's funny how we never wrap up the service and send him back.
You may leave this place. No. So happy Valentine's Day.
Thanks, dog. Appreciate you. Right. I think to all the husbands who are watching this thing, man, go have a conversation with your wife. In celebrating Valentine's, I think do it differently this year. Don't just buy stuff and move on with your life. But I think try something different, you know. Again, the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. You're not going to get to 10 years, 11 years, 40 years, 50 years by doing the same thing. So have hard conversations, try something new. Let Valentine's mark a different chapter in your marriage and your journey as a husband, right? From us here at that husband part, like the whole team is here. Even Lily's here. The whole team.
Hot in here.
Yeah. We'll see you on the flip side. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, notification bell. You're updated on every single episode we drop. 11:30 on Wednesday. Don't forget Beans and Bonds is coming 1st of March. That's a live event. It's only limited to 200 people. It's free. Mahala. Zilch. Nada. You don't have to pay anything. But just pull through. Make sure that you book. Because we suspect this thing is going to be running out very quickly, right? Because people have been saying, when are we going to meet? We're meeting, okay? So please don't forget to book a space. Beans and Bonds, where cups form connections, right? That's what we want to do. From me, Black Newborn, the team here, we'll see you next week, right? Peace.